Hello, hello, hello. Lori here with Interior Jewels. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me today. It is a beautiful day here on Long Island, a hot summer day. Hopefully you can see, this is a part 3 video. Hopefully you get a chance to see part 1 and part 2, how I just take a walk around my yard and start taking some clippings to make a DIY floral arrangement. Of course, I love flowers. They're so pretty to add to the house. You can add them anywhere. I happen to be out here on my deck, and I'm doing it in a beautiful white ceramic pitcher. You could use anything for a vessel, whether you want a more farmhouse look and you wanted to use an aluminum or a galvanized bucket. If you want to do little arrangements, you can do them in teacups, little vases, little buckets. There's so many things that you can do. I just happen to be doing this in this today, but in part 1 and part 2, I took you for a tour around my yard just to show you the things that I would clip to make an arrangement. And I clipped a lot of stuff here. And of course, these beauties, these hydrangea are going to be the focal point to this. But I have a whole bunch of greens here, so I'm just going to show you the steps in which I take to put an arrangement together. And again, there's no hard, fast rules. I am not a trained florist. I sort of just do it by eye and what I think looks good. And what I start with is a whole bunch of different greeneries. And I do my greeneries first because what that does is sort of make a grid in here. By the time you're adding all the stems of the greenery, it gives something for your blooms to stay in, so they sort of stay put where you want to put them. I'm going to make a pretty large arrangement in this because I did cut a lot of things here. So I'm just going to get started on that and show you what it is that I do. Please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. Feel free to ask any questions. I'd be happy to answer them for you. And I don't have all the answers as to varieties and the names of my greeneries, so if anyone has any input or information on that, feel free to drop that in the comments. I'd love to see it. I do read all of the comments. One thing that I do know that I have a lot of laurel bushes in our yard. They're great for privacy. For anyone that's looking for privacy hedges, I'm here again in the Northeast. I'm on Long Island, New York, so I don't know if that's everybody's zone as far as planting. But we have a lot of laurels which grow very quickly and are perfect privacy hedges. We've had them in a few years, and some of my laurels have to be 20 feet tall. So they really do give our space some privacy. So I've cut them off. They're great green leaves, and again, I'm going to green this up and give myself a base of greenery. As I was doing this, I broke a nail. Oh, I can't remember the last time I broke a nail, but I'm not so happy at the moment that I broke my nail. The one thing that you have to do when making an arrangement is cut off any of the bottom leaves or anything that doesn't look good, but you don't want anything to be below the water line. And I like to try and give everything an angled cut on the bottom, only because it gives it a bigger surface to drink water and they will last longer. You don't want any bacteria to grow in your water because that's what will not make your arrangement last too long. And as I'm putting things in, I sort of lay them in a crisscross pattern. If I put one on the left, then I put one on the right, in the front and in the back. And as you can imagine, in the water, then it creates crisscrosses. So the more things that I put in, it stays in place. And when I was cutting them off the bushes, I tried to cut as long as I can so I can have longer stems. Obviously, you can cut them shorter if you need to. But I wanted to go for a bit of a taller arrangement. So I'm just going to keep adding these in, and again, I'm starting with my laurel. I'm taking off anything that is what would fall below the water line. I went in the front, the back, the left, the right. And you could just let them flop like they would naturally. You know, people forget to look around their own yard to see what they have growing outside. And at this time of the year, whether you have bushes, shrubs, any blooming plants, it's the perfect time to go out and just cut so you can create your own arrangement. Nothing looks prettier than walking in the house and seeing fresh floral arrangements. I just love it. I mean, how often are we, you know, some of these aren't good either. It looks like bugs have gotten to these, so I try and pick off things that wouldn't look good and just keep the good leaves, even if it only has a few. How often do we go in the grocery store and they do have a great selection of florals and we pick up bouquets there? You can always add to your grocery store bouquets too. Buy them there, and you may want to add some greens to it yourself to make them larger, to make them look a little bit more upscale. I have to say, one of my pet peeves is when people buy a bouquet of flowers, whether it be at the grocery store or wherever, they take it out of the plastic and they just plop it in a vase. It's way too big. They're not cutting the ends. You always have to prepare your flowers no matter where you get them from. Give them a fresh cut so that they can drink some water and they're going to last longer for you. So I'm just, as I said, this is going to, I have a lot of hydrangeas here that I want to add. So I'm going to keep adding these greens and give myself a good base. And I have a lot here that I could probably make some other arrangements with. How pretty just to make little tiny arrangements. You could put one on the kitchen sink, the kitchen counter, the bathroom vanity, a bedside table. If you're having a guest, how pretty to put a little something something on the bedside table. It just looks so pretty. And if you're lucky to have anything that smells pretty, that's even better. None of these have any fragrance, to be honest with you. In the spring though, like if you cut down any lavender or any of those things, you know, they smell fabulous. So you can actually add aroma to your arrangements as well. And you can see how full this is getting, so that when I go to put more and more stems in, they're not going to automatically flop over. So the more the better, which is why I cut so much. My husband was just floating in the pool and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I says, "Well, I was looking out my front window this morning and I saw those gorgeous hydrangea blooms. And I'm like, I have to go cut some and make an arrangement." So he knows when I get out my clippers, I'm going to start going around the yard and clipping whatever I can find. And I do this all year. I have some pine trees as well. So I do this in the winter as well to make some holiday arrangements. I have holly bushes. I have pine bushes. And I even go other places, whether it's roadside and just start taking clippings, and I can make beautiful arrangements. During the holidays, I believe I have a video on here as well. You can go back and look at it, doing an arrangement on my front porch in the winter with a whole bunch of greeneries. Pine cones look so pretty, and for no money, which is even better. It's economical, and yet it looks elegant and adds that little something something. See, I'm trying to take off the bad leaves that have some insect holes in them. We don't want that. But it's okay with just a few leaves. Again, I'm putting the stems in there, and the stems are like building a foundation in here for whatever I keep adding to keep it shaped. Now, I had cut a whole bunch of ivy as well. I have a few different varieties of ivy. I'm not sure what this variety is called. I know I do have an English ivy, but these are so pretty. And this is the perfect thing too. If you cut just a few sprigs of ivy, put them in a little container, whether it's a little teacup, a little crystal shot glass, putting that on the side of a sink or anywhere small, just a desk. You know, so many of us work from home, and we get sick of our usual surroundings, so add some pretty things to your desk. There's nothing like fresh blooms. And these ivy, you take them and you continuously change that water, they will grow roots, and you can plant it. So if you wanted to have ivy growing somewhere on your property, they will grow roots and you can plant them. I have a lot of ivy in my yard. We've been in this house for 30 years, I think. And I had taken ivy from my neighbor from our first house 30 years ago. And that's all the ivy that I have growing in my yard now. And I always tell anyone, if they want to take them, they can take them. You can do that with your hosta too. I didn't cut any hosta today, but using hosta leaves is a great thing too. They come in so many different varieties, different colors. I have gorgeous large leaf chartreuse ones that are so pretty in an arrangement. And now, see how this is just getting bigger and bigger, and it's just all greens. I'm going to continue to add ivy now. And I'm taking off the side shoots and anything again that would be under the water line. And ivy has a tendency to droop over. Just let it go the way that it would naturally grow in your arrangement. Let it hang over the sides. And get, as I said before, get creative with your containers. They don't have to be traditional vases. Use anything you have on hand that will hold water. Make sure that it doesn't leak, because that wouldn't be good. I'm just going to keep adding these. Get some more of my ivy, and see how the ivy grows. I'm just going to take off the bottoms. I'm going to cut it a little shorter and see how it droops over. I'm just going to let it droop like that. And it becomes bigger and bigger. There's more of my ivy. Let's take this piece, cut it in half. Ooh, it's definitely a hot day here. But I'm loving it. This is my favorite time of the year, summer on Long Island. I really wish that I was at the beach today, but I'm not. But I do have the pool here, so that's my next best thing. Now I'm going to go around the neck of this vase too and have the ivy in there, so the ivy just naturally droops over. Remember not to let any leaves go in the water. And again, let them droop naturally. And once you have your arrangements made too, be sure to change the water, especially on hot days like we have here. The water tends to get stagnant quickly. If you have any plant food, that would be great, but if you don't let that stop you. I don't have plant food here either, but I do change my water frequently, which allows the arrangements to last for a long time. And you'll notice too, when you do an arrangement like this, which is mostly greens, when my blooms die, I could take the blooms out, the greens are still good, and I could put new blooms in. Or if you didn't have blooms in your yard, that's when you can go get a bouquet from the grocery store. You have your green base here, and you could just add the floral stems from a supermarket bouquet. Perfect thing to do. If you're having a little get-together, company, a little event, somebody's birthday at your house, adding fresh florals like this just makes everything look so pretty, and it makes it look like you went to great lengths, which it's very easy. See, I find this enjoyable, and this is a big one. You don't have to do a big one like this. You can do a tiny little one. Whatever your heart desires. My point in showing you this is that anyone can do this. It is not difficult, and I guarantee you, you have something growing in your yard that you can cut down. These are another cool thing that I have, which are greenery. This is called a sedum plant. It's almost like a, geez, I said this in the earlier video too, and I can't remember the name that I'm trying. It's almost like a, what are the plants that hold water? A succulent. They have very thick leaves, almost like they're holding water. But a pretty color like that chartreuse green. And these things are cool. In the fall, these turn pink. But they're another great greenery to add in here. I'm just going to add amongst all the other greens. Take off all the leaves that will fall below the water and just keep placing them. Balance is what you want. Again, I said there's no steadfast, hard rules. But you add some on this side, now you're going to add it on this side so that you have balance. Keep standing back and looking at it, and you'll notice right away if there's any holes or bare spots that needs something added to. Like I just added 4 on all 4 sides. So it automatically looks balanced to the eye. Add one in the middle. These have pretty sturdy stems too. This is another perennial that just comes back year after year and has gotten bigger and bigger in my yard. And I love using them in cut arrangements. Oh boy. Good thing you can't see my face in this because I am just sweating. It is hot. Hot. But I love it. You could perhaps hear the cicadas in the background. To me, that's like the sign of summer, hot summer days when you hear the cicadas singing. Okay, now see the difference in the color greenery? So now I have a great base with this. These I cut down. I have to be honest with you, I've never put these in an arrangement, but I was out in my garden, which again, you would see in part 2. I did a video in my backyard and my front yard. These were growing out of my hosta. I apologize, I don't know the variety of hosta, but I know the leaves on them are tremendous. And these are the flowers that grow out of them. Are these not so pretty? So this arrangement is more of a monochromatic. It's going to be just the white blooms with the greens. And I thought that these flowers would look beautiful. I don't know if they're going to last again. I've never used them before because I usually cut the flowers that grow out of my hosta out. I like how the hosta looks without the florals, to be honest with you. And those hosta that I have in front, again, you'll see that in that other video, are tremendous. They must have grown at least 3 feet high. See, now I'm like pushing in because I have a lot of stems in there, which means these are staying, they're not flopping over. So that's why I say don't cut quite a few greens. And just fill your base with whatever you choose your container to be. Fill your base with greens. And it will be so much easier to put your florals in. That would be like, instead of using floral foam or something like that, the stems is what's holding this in place. And it works beautifully. Put that there. And again, if I add one on that side, I'm going on this side. I'm looking to create balance. Got that one. Okay. I think now I'm going to start putting in these hydrangea. I have this sitting in water, and of course it fell over. But I cut these long, again, easy to cut down, but I wanted a big arrangement. And I'm going to take the leaves and just go like this. They come off very easily because I don't want any leaves in the water. You can leave a few at top. That's not going to go below the water. But take all of these off so you have a clean stem. This is a big one. I'm going to put this right in the middle. And again, I want to go big. One of my mottos is go big or go home. Again, not that you have to go big. You could do tiny little arrangements. Sometimes a grouping of small arrangements is very pretty as well. Like a long table like this, if you had a grouping of little containers, whether they were little votives or, you know, plain glass cups. Those are always a great thing to look for when you're thrifting. I go thrifting a lot and I find some great containers. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that I got this white pitcher thrifting. See, and I sort of have to play to get it in there amongst the stems, but you'll see how it just starts to fill out. And I'm just going to run my hands down the stems, take off the leaves, give it a cut on an angle, especially with hydrangea. Hydrangea drink a lot of water. As a matter of fact, I had cut some leaves. You'll see that in one of the other videos too. I didn't have them in water and they're drooping here. They will come back to life once I put them in the water, but right now they don't look so good. And I don't know what the variety of these are called, but they're just so pretty, and they're more of an elongated shape rather than a round pom-pom. I have another variety here of pink ones that is more ball shaped, and they did not do well this year. I normally have an abundance of blooms on them, and I don't know what happened, but I didn't get a lot of blooms this year, and I've heard other people saying the same thing. I don't know if it was only in this area or if something is going on with hydrangea this year. We did have a very mild winter. We have had quite a bit of rain now in the last few weeks. I don't know if it had to do with what the conditions were when they were hibernating, if you will. So I'm really not sure what the reason is. See how this just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm going to use all of these. Stunning! And I may add some more greenery, like some ivy. I'm going to keep turning it. Normally when I do things like this, I use my Lazy Susan so I can keep turning it. But I didn't bring that out here. I'm doing this all in the yard so I didn't make a mess in the house. Now I'm going to go around the mouth of the container as well. And see how this just naturally grew crooked like that? That's fine. This is a perfect one to put in the side to hang over the edge. Go with what nature gives you. Don't give it too much thought. Just put it together. This is also great if you were going somewhere, invited to someone's home. Bring an arrangement from your own yard. It's just personal, special, pretty. I know I would love to receive that, wouldn't you? And here, we got a lot in. I'm going to put one more in the middle here. And then I think I'm done. If you went for an arrangement like this in the florist or even in the grocery store, you'd pay a lot of money for this. There's a lot of blooms in here. Hydrangea in the stores are not cheap. I'm going to see if I have some more ivy. I have a mess here. I'm going to stick this ivy in so it sort of just drapes out the top very gracefully. Another thing that I didn't cut, but I did show in my video, I have a lot of ornamental grasses. And you know how the grasses grow and they just flop over, a very graceful curve. It's a perfect thing to put in something like this that just has a graceful curve like that. You can have them just coming out. I love wispy things like that. I think that's all of the ivy that I have, but I hope you can appreciate how beautiful. I'm going to turn it so you can see it. I mean, this is just stunning. Imagine if you were having a dinner party or putting this on your kitchen table. I'm going to leave it on my table out here. Or if you wanted to give this as a gift or if you wanted to do a few small ones of this too. This cost me absolutely nothing because all I did was take a walk around my yard. And it's not like I live on an estate, believe me. These are very common flowers and bushes and shrubs that people have in their yards. So I like to inspire and give ideas of how you can go out there and just cut some things down and make a beautiful arrangement. I so hope that you enjoyed this. I just want to make sure that you have the full view of it. This really is stunning. I love the monochromatic look with just the white and green, very elegant, very Hampton-esque it's reminding me of. You'll find a lot of these white hydrangea growing in the Hamptons. A lot of the homes just have the white and green in front of their homes, just classic, elegant, understated, and yet it looks high-end. So again, I'm here to inspire. Please let me know if you have any questions. Remember to subscribe to my page. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. And feel free to ask questions. I'd be happy to answer them. You have a great day. Enjoy your summer. Bye-bye.